Jarrod, it feels like you started with us a double triple on a 2-week sprint. Then you went to Vietnam with the family for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you've got a job in tech. How's the experience been for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. So I come on the program, 2 weeks, jumped in a few classes, started doing some outreach, and yeah, well, not unfortunately, but the timing was, had a pre-booked holiday to Vietnam just as I started getting the ball rolling. Just missed out on you and Caelah, unfortunately, on your Melbourne trip and the Podium open night. But yeah, literally 2 weeks in Vietnam, come back, and you guys are probably going, "Hey, Jarrod, but Podium is still looking," like nudge, nudge. So yeah, I flicked a message to Brad, and before you know it, 2 weeks later, I landed a role at Podium.
Crazy. It's been probably one of the most rapid journeys, actually, particularly for that AE role from our perspective. But before we jump into it, I'd actually love to just rewind a little bit in terms of where you're coming from, the high ticket sales profession. We oftentimes talk a lot about how better the career is in tech sales for a multitude of reasons, but also you've got professional background and experience that is also quite varied too. So would you mind just sharing a little bit more about your background and sort of what led you to even think about a career in tech sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working in construction in Victoria for 20 plus years. All the sort of Victorian government big build projects. Anyone from Melbourne or Victoria would know exactly what I'm talking about. So qualified carpenter, did that for, 15 years or so, 15, 20 years. And then the last 7 or 8 years, I've been working with it. I was working with a company rigging and sometimes operating mobile cranes. And it got to the point where I was just starting to look for a bit of a change. I wanted a bit more freedom and flexibility. Working in mobile crane hire industry can be quite long days, extremely early starts. Some mornings I might be getting up at 3:30 in the morning and not getting home till 7 o'clock at night, sometimes later. And varying shifts too, night shift, day shift, afternoons, weekends. So very hard to get your body clock in a steady state. And as we know, night shift workers, there's a lot of actually studies that, night shift workers, have higher rates of cancer because of the effect that, that sleep interruption takes on your body. So, I was just looking for a change, and that's what led me down the high ticket sales route. And so I did some sales training with a really good organisation there, and that gave me a really good understanding of, what a sales discovery looks like, objection handling, and all that stuff. Got me to the point where I was confident enough to leave my job and landed a role with a buyer's agency. Started as an appointment setter there, or an SDR in the tech world. I don't know why we use different names, but it's basically the same thing. That was fantastic. It was high volume, a lot of outbound, a lot of cold calling. And then about a month after that, I landed a closer role with another buyer's agency. And that's when I got to experience the end of the pipeline, the closing the call and converting those discovery calls and appointments to booked business.
Yeah, I love it. And then what led you to make the change from the HTS space and even consider the tech sales career? Instead it sounded also the foundation set you up for success, which is amazing. And we, of course, love working with you guys and gals coming out of the HTS space. We've got a few in the program. I think you're a great fit, actually. And, even you joking about the appointment setter versus SDR and then like the closing role and the AE role, it's like analogous, just different industry. You probably even alluded to it a little bit there from the construction background too. Was there a key standout for you in terms of why tech sales was like the obvious choice for you as you discovered double triple?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd always been interested in tech sales. It just seemed one of those magical industries that you would never break into if you didn't know anyone. You always see these Instagram videos. The guys going around where they go, "Oh, what's your name? What do you do? And how much do you earn?" And then you hear the tech sales ones, you're like, far out. But you just think it's like, construction jobs in Victoria on EBA sites. It's like you got to know someone to get a role sometimes. And I just always kind of assumed tech sales was very, very similar. First come across Caelah probably mid last year, maybe when she was just starting up her Instagram and basing her Instagram around her tech sales lifestyle and all that. And this was before pre-double triple. And I remember looking and going, oh, yeah, here we go. Here's another tech sales bro that sprouts how good it is, but doesn't want to help you break in. And then it turns out in hindsight, I think she was communicating with a lot of people in DMs, helping them land roles and point them in the right direction. So maybe I should have done that. But anyway, fast forward and do it in the high ticket space. But unfortunately, a lot of the roles in the high ticket space are contract commission only. So it can be very hard to make a dollar. Obviously, like say from an SDR perspective, you're doing a lot of outbound, a lot of cold calling before you can even make any money. So there's a lot of time you're investing in the business that you're actually not being compensated for, which is why base structure, I believe, is really important, especially for an SDR. I found it, unless you're doing huge volume, like I was working at a buyer's agency, unless you work for like a Jack Henderson or an investor kit where they're doing massive volume and, they're set as they're crushing it, they're doing really well, but they're in an environment that allows them to thrive and succeed. So I guess I started looking at options where I could get on a base. And there's not a lot of opportunities like that in Australia in the remote sales world. There are some, but you're really only talking about maybe the top 5% of offers out there. And because they've got a base, they're extremely hard to get to. They don't give up those roles easily. So I started thinking about what else I could do. And as I was looking for work, I come across Double Triple when you guys started advertising for a closer. So that was my little way in. At that stage, I still wasn't really thinking too much about tech sales, but I joined your webinar. I don't know if Adam ever told you, but I was messaging Adam on the webinar on Zoom saying, "Hey, bro, like, come on, I'm testing you. Let's hook up a meeting." And then I ended up booking a strategy call with Adam. And it wasn't to waste his time trying to pitch myself. I was actually interested in tech sales by the end of that Zoom. So I jumped on a call with Adam and, geez, he's a bloody good salesman. He reverse sold me. I went in there trying to pitch him and come out of it, signed up to Double Triple.
It's the magic of the program, Jarrod, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's essentially, I know I'm waffling on a bit, but that's eventually how I landed in the tech sales side of things.
Yeah, so cool. We're really excited for you. And, that point about having the base salary plus then the commissions, oftentimes for the big tech companies, really great career growth, learning development. It's like really exciting. You've also pivoted directly into an AE role at Podium, which is super exciting. And the power of our community also was pretty instrumental to that. You mentioned we had the Melbourne trip to see all the Melbourne members, and then we hosted that assessment day with Podium and Cam Truebridge, Lee Smith. There's a bit of a Podium mafia now coming out, and we're seeing that naturally evolve for us in these tech company partnerships that we have, which is really exciting. But just really stoked for you as well, Jarrod, to actually land straight into an AE role, even outside of having to start, which is a common misconception. People might think, especially coming from a different industry or a different sales background, do I need to start as an SDR? But it's like not the case. It's great to see you actually move into that AE role out of the gates and just like hit the ground running.
Yeah, it was. And, having to own the pipeline from start to finish and sit closing calls and having that sales training already definitely helped me sort of bypass that typical SDR, BDR track. Couple of comments I probably will make on that is, obviously Podium is heavily geared. A lot of their business is the construction background. So maybe my construction background and experience sort of helped that, I can talk the talk with these guys. But also, like I said, the foundations that previous Double Triple members, Cam and Lee, and is James there too? Anyway, the foundation that those guys led, they've got in there, they've set the groundwork, they've given Double Triple the good reputation, and that's just removed that first barrier when they're looking at new people. Definitely puts you one step ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, it's super cool. There's a lot of tech companies reaching out to us, even outside of the Podium example. I'm not too sure if you know this, Jarrod, after the holiday hiatus, but because we've helped place actually a few members in different tech companies, and the talent's been really strong, the tech companies have reached out to us like, we couldn't believe how great this talent was, and we'd like to actually see more from the Double Triple community. So it's just like a bit of a flywheel happening in terms of the access and the opportunity. And it is really cool to have that common thread in the community too. And I think a lot of people are starting to come back and share their experiences in the role now with Double Triple members. So it's actually really magical from my perspective, seeing that community come to life over time. Just feels like it's a really nice value add too, particularly starting a new career. And other examples, we might start a new job sort of solo. You have a bit of common ground with a few people, and you're about to start next week, right, at Podium, and sort of entering with a few little bits of familiarity in those members and, of course, the partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so start Tuesday. So, yeah, I've been talking with Lee a fair bit and Cam a little bit, but yeah, no, definitely looking forward to meeting them in person and getting in the trenches and jumping on the calls and getting stuck into it.
Hitting the ground running. This is about to start now.
That's it. Yeah. All the talking bits done now. All the pitching myself's done now. It's time to get in there and prove yourself.
Yeah, love it. You mentioned something just then too, Jarrod, which I think is cool to highlight for a lot of people, but potentially a strength of yours. And I always like to talk about strategic narrative in the program, but as you execute and have the conversations in the interviews, the construction background and just like the profile of the selling motion and sort of knowing the problem solution space is like a great fit for you. And I think that high velocity sales motion as well in terms of the company profile. So I think that link is like really cool. And it's also like confidence to come into the role and really hit the ground running. And then I'm keen to hear from your perspective how much you feel like that sort of stood out for you even in the interview process, because I'm not sure if people won't know listening to this, but you did so well in the first conversation that they sort of skipped the last round and went straight to offer stage. So got to say well done for that, Jarrod, because it's that's on you, and just really well done through the interview processes too, which again, it's like we've got the structure and the support and the program, the community and the coaching to help people really succeed in this. But it's awesome to see you turn up to the interviews and sell yourself, but also put forward your strengths and that best fit, and also just like get to that offer stage and really what was like an accelerated timeline.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of things has to go to you guys and Adam. Like I had a lot of doubts early on. Like I remember talking to Adam, he's like, "Nah, man," he goes, "You should be aiming for AE," because I thought I would have had to go down the SDR BDR track, which I might have been hesitant on doing. That might have been a deal breaker for me. But Adam, and yourselves, you said, no, you've closed deals, you've worked high volume, definitely aim for AE. But you're also very honest and upfront by saying focus on SMB though, like, enterprise and mid-market, AE, especially for an AE role, is probably a bit out of your reach. And to be honest with you, I probably really like the idea of, high volume, shorter sales cycles. At least I can, working with Podium, I can sort of it's a bit more of a familiar environment, whether it's a one call close or a one call and a follow-up close. And then I'm assuming it's probably something similar to that. Whereas working on deals that might take 2, 3, 4 to 6 months to put together, that might be too big of a leap for me, especially having never worked on that side of things before. But yeah, with the interview process, it was very streamlined. And once again, that a lot of that comes down to, Cam and Lee that have come before me that have laid such a good reputation for double, triple members. So yeah, I had one coffee catch up with Brad at the coffee shop at the bottom, and that went well. And he put me through to an interview with Steve and Frank, and I felt that went really well. And then I was expecting one more with Brad, and got an email from Lauren saying, no, we're bypassing the final interview. The guys were really happy with you, so here's your contract.
Straight to offer stage.
Yeah, straight to offer stage. Yeah. yeah.
This is like rapid. I'm just like, oh god, I'm catching up with Jarrod again. I was expecting another coaching call, but we're just like straight into a case study.
Yeah, I know. And I was trying to get on a coaching call. I think I missed one that I was hoping to jump on, but yeah, it just happened so quick. I got the contract and got the offer, and so obviously I was spamming you guys in your DMs because I couldn't get you on a call, and we went back and forth a few times, and I needed to clarify a few things in the contract, and you guys said, yeah, that's fair enough, and then Podium gave me answered every question that I asked. So yeah, signed up and start Tuesday.
So good, let's go.
Yeah.
What a turnaround.
Yeah.
How much of that confidence thing that you mentioned, Jarrod, sort of maybe coming out of looking from an outsider point of view of like, oh, tech, it's a bit esoteric in a sense, like you got to know someone to get in, and then the journey with Adam, with ourselves, with the community of like, do I need to start the SDR? It's like really backing yourself to go that AE, and then of course the access and the outcome you've been able to get. Do you feel like you could have made the transition into tech sales like alone and just gone about it yourself to get this sort of thing?
Wouldn't have even bothered.
Wouldn't have even bothered. Crazy.
I don't. Like I said, I just would have assumed it was one of those magical industries you would never crack. So I probably wouldn't have even tried, to be honest with you. And I don't think I definitely wouldn't have had the confidence to go for an AE role as well.
Yeah.
So even if I did have a go, I definitely would have gone entry level SDR, which, would have set me back, a couple of years. And so, yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't have landed a role, and I absolutely wouldn't have landed an AE role without you guys.
Yeah, so cool. It's cool to hear that, and we love having you part of the community, Jarrod. It's like awesome to see that outcome straight into AE, and we like back you, right? It's like, let's go. We feel like we're the number one hype girls, and of course Adam and the team. It's just like, let's go for it. It's cool to see it come to life every time. Yeah. And even as you start in the AE role with Podium next week, I know that there's career progression, lifestyle considerations for you. When we first caught up as you're onboarding in the foundation stages, I know there was a few things for you where you're like, hey, getting into this industry, earning the stripes, and there's a bit of a future outlook for you in terms of potentially maybe moving somewhere else in Australia, having a bit more mobility, having a global industry of great tech companies. There's a lot to come in terms of the career. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about the motivation there in terms of the career, but also the lifestyle factor that you're considering in the future, and why this is almost like a bit of a strategic step for you in this point in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole reason for me getting into sales in general was to a bit more location freedom and a bit more time freedom. And with the podium role, I'm definitely going to be in the office a fair bit to start with, which is fair enough. You need to learn the ropes, and you need to have people next to you to lean on when you need answers straight away. You don't want to be spamming someone on Slack all day long because you're asking a million questions. But there's definitely a conversation you had about working from home. Once the training wheels come off. Once you hit your KPIs, I haven't had a hard conversation with them about it, but from everything I've heard, if you're hitting KPIs, there's definitely conversations to be had. But in the meantime, I'm just focusing on working in the office, nailing down the role, learning from the top guys, because you can't learn from experienced guys from home. So that's the problem. So if you want to pick out the top performers in the company and shadow them and do what they're doing, you can't do that from home. You're doing yourself a disservice. So for me, the focus is definitely to head back in office and just learn as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, totally. It's a well begun's half done. Hey, especially like learning a new industry, sales motion, the nuances of being in the office. It's for people really serious about this is a strategic, substantial career move. In the foundational years, I think it goes a really long way for that performance. And I know even the company you're joining, they've got really clear structures in terms of pathways to promotions, committed KPIs are met and things like that. And I just think it's like, again, in sales, the thing that you get out is the thing you put in. And it's a great way to set yourself up for success hitting the ground running, from our opinion. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what attracted me to working in sales in the start with. You're paid on performance. So, you perform better, you get paid more. And, you touched on it with the podium progression structure. It's not, you don't need to position yourself for promotions. It's not about, who's going out for lunch with the bosses the most or who's playing golf with them on the weekends. It's you hit these KPIs and you do it regularly. There's set data and metrics that if you hit it, you will get promoted.
Yeah, totally. So good. What advice have you got, Jarrod, for people that might be considering joining double, triple, maybe a bit on the fence? Like, I know you've had just a rapid experience, and of course everyone's different coming through the program, but have you got any words of wisdom? Maybe if it's someone that might have been in a similar position to you, considering different changes and maybe not had the backing or whatever the case might be. Have you got any words of wisdom, of advice that if you are considering it, what should they be thinking?
Yeah, my advice to anyone sitting on the sidelines is invest in yourself. You will not meet one person that has invested in themselves and regretted it. So when you invest in yourself and you put something on the line, as in a financial outlay, you've got to feel that stretch. And your results will come when you invest in yourself. You've got something on the line. You've got emotional involvement. You've got a financial involvement in it. So my advice to anyone would be invest in yourself, and invest in yourself as many times as you can. I've done it multiple times. I've invested in sales training. I've invested in double, triple. I've invested in mindset coaching. I've been working with an Australian mindset coach the last 3 months. So it's all about stack your decks so much that it is not possible to lose.
Unfair advantage, isn't it?
Yeah. but you do, like, you invest in yourself and you'll see the rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. It's just like to get yourself from where you are today to where you want to go in the future, it's got to come with that investment in yourself, time, resources, energy. So it couldn't be truer, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you guys, at some stage in your careers, you invested in mentorship or guidance or business coaching when you're starting up double, triple. And I'm sure you're not regretting any of those investments.
Not at all. Yeah. And a lot of money too. And it's not abnormal, I think, for high performers to do so. So yeah.
Top sales performers could spend 30, 40, 50 grand on sales coaching. It's not unusual, but it's a multiplier. You'll get back what you put in.
Yeah, absolutely. In the world of sales, it's like a very clear ROI.
Absolutely. Especially if you land somewhere with accelerators.
Yeah, that's right. what we're all here for.
Yeah.
So good, Jarrod. Maybe to wrap up, of course, we're going to have to get you into some of the alumni chats and maybe the accelerator in the future, or maybe a celebrity appearance at an upcoming event we're planning. That can be a little reverse, card.
No, that'd be
Potentially
great.
maybe, yeah.
That'd be great if there's one coming up, because it'll be nice to meet you all in person.
Yeah, totally. What are you looking forward to the most as you think about next week and actually starting the role? How are you feeling about it? The energy, the excitement, but maybe just lastly sharing about that outlook and potentially what you are anticipating next week, hitting the ground running, the learning, and then just sort of what comes next in the future.
Yeah, just looking forward to get stuck in. Just looking forward to meeting everyone at the company. I think the first week is very much just an onboarding process, so I don't think I'll touch a phone in the first week. But I'm just looking forward to getting in there, getting settled in. Like I said, meeting everybody, and then I'm a bit of a numbers guy, so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the metrics and the numbers, and then just being able to sit down and reverse engineer everything from that. So this is our close rate, all right? If I want to make this much, this is how many meetings I'll need to sit to get that, to get that number with the close rate. So that means I need to book that many appointments. So to get that many appointments, that's how many calls I need to make. So yeah, I'm really big on metrics and numbers. So yeah, I really enjoy reverse engineering that process.
You can't go too wrong knowing the quota and then getting the pipeline coverage, looking at the conversion metrics, what the activity levels need to be. It's just a great way to organize it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And just looking forward to, immersing myself in the Podium culture. So yeah, like I said, just putting up, I've met a lot of names, a lot of names on emails and that. So putting faces to names, and just embedding myself in that culture and getting a good result for myself and Podium.
Yeah, super cool. And I know they have a really nice office. They got, I think, ping pongs at lunch, lots of like social events. The energy in the room is super cool, having been, that assessment day. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great energy and a lot of fun. And we're super excited to see how the journey goes, Jarrod. Staying in the community, of course, and wishing you all the best as you start the first week at Podium next week.
No, really looking forward to it. And, thank you to you and Caelah for all your help too. And like I said, the guys that have gone before me at Podium, that they made the process, I've said it multiple times, but, they put the groundwork in. They made the process so much easier by, representing double, triple, so well. And, it's removed a lot of barriers of entry, I think.
The best community in the world. Not biased at all. So good, Jarrod. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And again, your trust and partnership in such a big life transformation, this next stage for you in the career and throughout your life. And been awesome working with you. I'm sure you're only just getting started. You'll stay in the community and all the fun is about to begin. So thanks again for being a part of Double Triple and also joining us on this conversation today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And thank you all for all your help.
Awesome. Thanks, Jarrod.
No worries. See you later.